beautiful passing play right there, Sean.
What a save! Woo! Talk about a move.
Hey, Colin.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, have you had a chance to check out Conway and Banks hockey bags yet?
I have, sir. Today's episode is brought to you by Conway and Banks Hockey Bags, one of the finest and probably the top of the line hockey bag on the market right now, with their wonderful materials and everything else that goes along with the bag. If you want to keep on going for me, bud.
Oh, I would actually go so far as to say that it's the premier hockey bag. Whether it be your shins, elbows, your gloves, your helmet, it all has a special place, and it also comes in a very what's the word that I'm looking for with the quality of the bag is it's one of the premier bags. If you have kids that are just starting out, or kids that are just trying to be more responsible, or if you're that guy that used to throw all this stuff in and was always losing their gear, whether it be a glove off to the, at the rink under the bench, here you can just look straight down into your bag and be like, I got everything. I'm good to roll.
Yep, and another nice thing about it too is they have a multiple different styles. So they have player, they have coaches, they have the backpack that you can pre-order right now,
Yep.
and they have a goalie bag. Honestly, I'm looking to get one, and if you guys go using our promo code Grow City Hockey in all caps, you can get 10% off one of these high quality bags. And guys, we recommend it highly. They sent us one in, and it is a phenomenal bag with the dividers organized, and not to mention they also have these nice vents on the sides, so that way airflow gets in there and you can finally battle that horrible hockey smell. So, guys, I don't think there's anything else to say about it other than go to Conway and Banks, check out these bags, and use our promo code Grow City Hockey in all caps for 10% off.
Get your Conway and Banks hockey bag now. Welcome to another exciting edition to Grow City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college.
Welcome back to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock. We're going to try something a little different today. We're going to do this one solo. We'll see how this goes. Bear with me, guys. It's a late night. It's 11:17. Let's give this a whirl here. So we are talking about Fort Wayne number 2. We had the battle of the Beer City Growlers and the Great Lakes Growlers. 2 Growlers battling it out for name supremacy. And man, this was a great game. I was watching this one from the stands. I went down and took some pictures, and then got a chance to catch the last period after that. But it was 2-0 all the way up to the 5:33 mark left in that third period for the Beer City Growlers, a team that hasn't had much luck this season. Came in Sunday with a chip on their shoulder, and they were determined to get their first W of the season. And as if those of you that caught the Mike Enders interview a couple weeks ago, his team is struggling, but it's not from lack of effort. I'll tell you that much right now. Those guys do whatever they can to try to put that puck in that net, and they did. They put 2 in, But like I said, it was 2-0. Then at the 5:33 mark, it just seemed like they just kind of let the quicksand develop a little bit, or like the little snowball, at the top of the mountain, just kind of roll, and just 1 goal here, another quick goal there. It was tied up. And then a few moments later, with only 3 minutes and 45 seconds, the Growlers from Great Lakes showed just how dangerous they really are. And, they literally scored 3 goals in under 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes and 15 seconds to be exact, or 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Sorry. And they just tried to battle back, but when they pulled the goalie, there was a bouncing puck situation for the Beer City Growlers. you always got to get the tough names right off the bat. No, but as I was saying, a bouncing puck thwarted any comeback whatsoever. from the pulling goalie that was Mike Enders. As he was trying to go out, the puck bounced up, and Great Lakes capitalized on it, but they didn't get a chance to get the puck on net. And the final there was 3-2 in favor of the Great Lakes Growlers, who were playing without their captain, Jaron, who was in Las Vegas from the sounds of it. Hopefully he was able to bet a lot of money on a couple of red numbers or a couple of black numbers at the craps table, or the roulette table, I should say. Let's see how it goes for him. Let's see if the Great Lakes Growlers can continue that, after this quarterfinal matchup. So they're going to take on another team that I'll talk about in a little bit. But first, let's go to T4A action. We got the Chicago Damage, another team that hasn't had much success this season, but again, it wasn't for lack of effort. They were really trying pretty hard. And this one, they were going up against the Grand Rapids Crusaders. Sorry, guys. Grand Rapids Crusaders, they were a runner-up just here a couple weeks ago in Fort Wayne event number 1. You'll see that episode drop. As you saw in the Fort Wayne 1 episode. So it was 3-2 going into, let's see, it was 3-2 with 3:45 left to go in the second. And then the Damage, kind of got the ball rolling a little bit, and they scored to tie it up with 6:10 remaining in the third. This is where Grand Rapids would kind of start to pull away a little bit as they got their fourth goal, and then they would score 2 more goals. Then the finals would be 6-3 in favor of the Grand Rapids Crusaders. Congratulations to you guys. All right, so let's move on to the T4A action. We've got this is who the Crusaders would be playing against to be the winner of this game. It was 3-1 with less than 6 minutes remaining, as the Mary Pats, who are taking on the Southwest Outlaws, the Southwest Ohio Outlaws. Man, I love their unis. I love the names on the back of their kits. I love it. I love how hard they play. They play well together as a unit, and it's not an easy game playing against these guys. The Mary Pats would jump out to a 3-1 lead, but then the Outlaws would score to make it 3-2. And they would, like I said, they play hard, they play smart. And then with less than 3:30 remain, the Pats showed the Outlaws some intense puck possession, giving up very little, but it did cost them a rebound shot from the Outlaws. And so they had a 2-goal lead, and then just like that, with just 2 minutes prior, all of a sudden now it's all tied up at 3s. So what are you going to do but go into overtime? So overtime battle, we saw the 5-minute period start with 3 players on each side. A quick shot by the Pats almost saw that overtime period end just like the NCAA finals did, when Quinnipiac would score over Minnesota at 10 seconds into the game. But this shot was just wide by like an inch, hitting the post and getting sent off to the left of the post and to the right of the goalie. It was an incredible shot opportunity, just wide. The Pats were relentless and they peppered the Outlaws goalie. But a penalty on the Pats would see the teams go back to a 4-on-3 in the traditional sense. In overtime hockey, you really don't want to see 3-on-2. That's tough for anybody to deal with. So MyHa set it up to where you would go back to the original 4-on-3 because you still have your man advantage. So then all of a sudden, the crowd is watching 4-on-3. This stuff just makes you're holding your breath. Everybody's like literally, you got that golden goal, and 3.8 seconds, the Mary Pats bury it past the Southwest Ohio Outlaws goalie. And so they're going to take on the Grand Rapids Crusaders in the T4A finals in the bracket later in the afternoon. So let's see how that turned out in a moment. But first, let's go to T4A action. The Columbus Heat taking on the Windy City Pigeons in T4 action. After battling most of the game behind by costly mistakes and an own goal, the Columbus Heat managed to knot the game at 5. But a penalty at the end of regulation proved to be the deciding factor as the Windy City Pigeons managed to eke out the W on the Heat that the Columbus was applying. So the Windy City Pigeons will take on the winner of the Lansing Street Sharks or the Chicago Triple P. Triple P takes a 3-1 into the third as they lead the Street Sharks. But a quick goal by the Sharks cuts that lead in half as it's 3-2 with under 11 minutes remaining. The Triple P are not going away quietly as they continue to add the pressure on the Sharks. But a penalty by the Triple P quickly negated that, or was quickly negated by another penalty by the Sharks. So now it's 3-on-3, under 7 minutes remaining. Neither team really could capitalize on that, but a backdoor opportunity was squandered. This was wide open, guys. I'm talking about. Like, all you have to do is just touch the puck with your stick, and it's in. It's in. And, no. But so, on that whiff, coming back the other way, the Lansing Street Sharks buried it. And they buried it pretty good. That tied it up at 3. So now, what are you going to see happen here? With it tied up at 3, while you're going to see the Triple P add a goal at 3:33 mark, and then add another goal just a few moments after that to make it 5-3. But a penalty with 30 seconds left to go in the game would make it interesting. But there was nothing that the Sharks could do to get past this Triple P team. So Triple P would clear the puck as it was coming down. It's all Triple P, 5-3. You know, what more can you do with that? It was a fun game to watch. I can tell you that much. And then I had to go down and take pictures. As the Growlers and Top Shelf battle an absolute barn burner and highly contested battle, as it came down to the closing seconds of the third period. It was like I didn't really get a chance to write much about this game. I do know that from what I saw, it was a fantastic, tough, physical game that we all love to see in roller hockey. Kudos to Great Lakes for keeping their composure and not doing anything that would jeopardize the team. Same thing with Top Shelf. They did the same thing. They just got unlucky on their draw. So who would they be taking on in the finals? Let's find out. It would be between the Lansing Street Sharks and the Mid-Michigan Saints. The Sharks would take this to a shootout. Again, I didn't get a chance to watch this game much, but I got a chance to watch the shootout, and that was pretty cool. It was a 6-5 victory after being deadlocked 5, after the 3 periods. So who would the Great Lakes Growlers be taking on in the finals? Well, let's find out. It's going to be between the Lansing Street Sharks and the Mid-Michigan Saints. And the Sharks would take this to a shootout and win 6-5 after being deadlocked at 5 after 3 periods. A 5-minute overtime saw neither team really capitalize on any true chances. This was a game that, was so close that nobody could really get, up 1 or up more than, 2 goals at a time. It was always back and forth. So it's like there's nothing you could do about it. But it was a great game to watch. I will say that. I got to watch just a few minutes of it. But yeah, I mean, it was like, like they would go up, the other team would come back, and then it was just boom, so smooth, so fast. And really no missed opportunities, no real opportunities. Both defenses played very, very good, very, very tough, but it was just all Sharks that came away with the shootout there. So that's who the Great Lakes Growlers will be taking on in the finals, would be the Lansing Street Sharks. But first, let's go over to T3A action and see what we got with the Mary Pats. So the Mary Pats and the Buffalo Fusion would be knotted up, tied up at 6. 9.5 minutes left to go in the game. Both teams have done their best to really get the go-ahead goal with a few penalty kills, a power play with just under 5 minutes left. The Fusion finally broke through and got that 7th goal. A timeout quickly by the Mary Pats didn't slow the Fusion as they would score again. Another timeout with under 4 minutes, the Pats would score to bring it within 1, and then moments later they'd score again. Tied up at 8. This is 8 apiece. That's 16 goals. That's some pretty cool stuff to see. So this one would end up going in overtime. And this one, oh man, you saw the Mary Pats with a come from behind victory over the Buffalo Fusion. This one came down to a Fusion player getting kicked out for saying something highly inappropriate to a ref about individuals that had nothing to do with the game. So it's like, what's going on here? He must have had a bad day. Let's just put it that way. And it ended up costing his team because they could have used his set of lungs and his legs to help him through this game, but he just let his emotions get the best of him there. So moving on to the other side of the bracket, where the Mary Pats, who were undefeated so far, who are they going to take on? Are they going to take on the Columbus Heat or Active Stick Hockey? This one had fans in the stands as Nasher and the Heat took on the Active Stick Hockey team. A quick goal by Active Stick Hockey saw the Heat rattled, but then wake up and just take control as they would score 6 unanswered goals to come before the Active Stick added to their quick early goal in the first. Heat win this one 6-2, and the Columbus Heat also finished Saturday undefeated. So now not only do we have 2 teams going to battle it out in the finals for supremacy, both are actually going for their first championship. I, for one, can't wait to find out what happens there. Stick around. We'll find out soon. So that brings us to the first championship of the day, T4B action. We're going to see the Grand Rapids Crusaders taking on the Chicago Mary Pats. And man, was this a battle? I mean, the Crusaders got on the board first with Hunter Woodhall getting the goal. But our interview segment with Matt Cahill of the Mary Pats, he would actually put the team on his back, I would say, and or really give his team the spark needed to really get going, as he fed 2 individuals, John Siegenhorn and Danny Neuer. So he hooked those 2 guys up with some goals, and then before joining his own scoring party there. So the score would be 3-1. With time running out, the Crusaders did everything they could. They would score with 1:50 to make it interesting, 3-2, but it just wasn't enough. As again, the bouncing puck, not enough puck possession or puck control to be able to squeak one past that Mary Pats goaltender. So kudos to the Mary Pats for winning I believe it was their second championship. Or it might even be their third. Chicago Mary Pats with another championship. T4A championship is next. Will we see the Chicago Triple P avenge their first loss of the season, or will the Windy City Pigeons prove that first time was not a fluke? Let's see. The Windy City Pigeons took out Chicago Triple P on Saturday in a highly feisty contest as there was 13 penalties, and it was mainly even as it was the Pigeons had 6, Triple P had 7. And with the game that tight on penalties, the game was just as tight on the scoring as that final would be 4-3. But would the PPP exact revenge? This one was crazy as goaltender Mark Orr was hurt for most of the game. He got hurt real quick. Was favoring his, I believe it was his left leg. I had to leave, so I was listening to the game on the road. And just from listening to Brandon Britton's call of the game, I was just like, wow. He was just staying. I thought for sure that they were going to be pulling him out, subbing in another guy. But Triple P's like, we don't have anybody, Mark. You got to step up. And man, did he do his best to step up. It was, this one went, this went over overtime. It was knotted up at 6, at 6s, 6-6 going into the overtime period. But man, and then with 19 seconds left in that overtime period, Mark just succumbed to that injury as Jeremy Bilecki of the Pigeons would get his, got the game winner there. And incredible effort by Mark. I'm going to reach out to Mark and see if I can't get him on the pod. I think that would be, pretty cool. But you have the Pigeons winning their second championship of the day, or not of the day, but of the season. So kudos to you guys. All right. Up next is the T3B championship. This, you saw the Lansing Street Sharks taking on the Great Lakes Growlers, who was in some tough battles early today. 2 games already. So, getting a couple of wins here and there. Both teams needed those extra points to make sure that they were going to make it to the playoffs. But we'll get a final tally as to who made the cut and who didn't make the cut here real quick. After this Buffalo tournament this coming week. Up next is the T3B Championship. Saw the Lansing Street Sharks versus the Great Lakes Growlers. Both teams needed to add some points to make the playoffs. And this game was all Lansing as they just came out and took it right to the Growlers. It was Andrew Saunders who came out and started the scoring with 2 goals before Stephen Nesbitt cut the lead in half. But then it was all Andrew Saunders again, as he had 4 goals, 1 assist. Fellow Shark Jeremy Miser had 2 goals, 1 assist himself. This game ended early, 9-1, as the Sharks win, I believe, their second championship this season. Kudos to you guys on your T3B championship. The T3A championship saw 2 teams unbeaten enter the finals as the Chicago Mary Pats and the Columbus Heat decide to face off and see who would leave as champions for the first time this season. And the Heat would score first. Cody Wheeler would get the nod. And the Mary Pats' Josh Sickman would tie it up at 1. Halfway through the second would be when he would be able to tie that up. Closing out this insane second period here. Listen to this. You've got Nick Cromie would add a goal a few minutes later for the Mary Pats, but then the Heat would score off Ryan Turk. And then with 48 seconds left in the period, Ben Delaney would add a goal to make it 3-2. That momentum shifted quickly back to the Chicago Mary Pats as Josh Sickman would score again with 9 seconds left to go in that second period. Unbelievable. And then in the third period, quickly, within 15 seconds, Brian Mendelssohn would put the Heat up, so they would be up 4-3 at this point. Then you had 40 seconds later, Zach Stroka would show that the Mary Pats are not out of this yet. As the 2 unbeaten teams showed everyone that they are going to do whatever it takes to get the W, with the score tied at 4. So who would break through and seal the deal? With just over 7 minutes, it was AJ Lee and the Mary Pats who would break it open again just 40 seconds later with Zach Straka. Finally, adding the insurance goal, the final 8 minutes saw the Heat scramble and fight to the bitter end, but they would not be able to overcome as they were looking at the Mary Pats to get the championship. So kudos to the Mary Pats on winning the T3A championship. Stay tuned. Next, we are going to see our Matt Cahill interview segment. All right. With that, we'll be back. Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I've got one of the players from the Chicago Mary Pats, Matt Cahill. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing well, Ben. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for being on. So tell us a little bit about the Mary Pats and how they kind of became a unit here.
So we all, for the most part, everyone in the group plays at Salt Creek Sports Center at kind of suburb Chicago. And a lot of the guys, some guys grew up playing together in high school. Other guys kind of met through the rink. And actually, we kind of have a GM who's on one of our teams, Zach Stroka, kind of brought everyone together, pick different and make sure that we got the right guys. And everyone has fun on the bench. Everyone has fun on the trips, a lot of good boys trips, things like that. Yeah. So that's really how we kind of started. And the team name's after actually one of our players' moms, 26 Danny Ganner, T4 Pat. So
nice. That's cool. So you guys have been, I guess, in existence since 2018?
So, and as far as in MIA, yeah, we've been since 2018. That's when we kind of first came up. But we've been playing at Salt Creek for, years. Different guys that are kind of local guys that have played over there. So we have four or five different teams that play kind of the house leagues in Salt Creek. And we have the two teams that we play at for MIA. So
now Salt Creek used to be Palatine, right?
So it's like on the border of Palatine, Arlington Heights, and it used to be called hat trick hockey for guys who played there a long time. So that was hat trick, now Salt Creek. That was
the name I remember when I was playing MLRH with the Michigan Thunder, and we had we showed up playing the Chicago Roller Snakes when we had Etan on our team for that weekend.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that was a lot of fun. I remember everybody. There was like a big we got Etan, I can't believe it. And I'm talking about Etan Chavera for those of you out there. And he is a big guy, sponsored by Reebok, playing inline hockey throughout the world at that time, and still does to this day. And he was like this larger than life character, and we had a couple of really good players on our team that year as well. So adding him for that weekend really helped us over the hump, because we were struggling there for a little bit.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool, because I remember I scored my second pro goal, and he gave me the assist on it because it was wide open backdoor, and I was like, score. But yeah, so tell me a little bit about the season for you guys. You guys are doing fairly well, actually.
Yeah, so started out, we had a couple home tournaments, and we added a few new guys this session. So first tournament was good. We were still feeling ourselves out, and it was really that second tournament in February where we really came together as a group. Really did well that tournament, and then the next week we played up at Taylor, Michigan, and then also had a really good tournament that one. And then finished it off strong with Fort Wayne this weekend. So we're looking forward to Detroit in about a month here. Really hoping. We've gotten close a couple of times, had a lot of good playoff runs, but we're hoping that we can kind of get over the hump this time. So
now, was this the same? Now, did you guys have a T2 team last year?
We did not. We had a T3 team, and T3 made the
finals. Yeah, I remember that. I remember calling that game. So, but how'd the T4 team do last season?
So T4, we made it. Ended up losing to, I think, Detroit Knights. Really, fought hard, but it was just one of those things where last year we had a couple of guys that just do a couple injuries, stuff like that, nagging injuries with some guys, and that Knights team was a really solid team. They had won the year before. They made it to the final that year. So we added a couple new guys this year to get a little more speed on the team, and it's really helped. And the nice thing is, because we all play at Salt Creek, we've played, we get a lot of practice in playing with each other and stuff like that. So it's really made a big difference this year.
Awesome. So now, what are you guys going to do from now until the playoffs come in? In May, like you said, May 20th at Frazier, I believe.
Yep. So a lot of the guys play on some house leagues together. Maybe we might try and do like a scrimmage here or there just to kind of get before the season, before the playoffs start, to kind of get everything settled. But we've been playing so well together that I think that just the kind of regular routine that we've been doing, I think, is what we're going to stick with. And we like to make sure that we're out there having fun, and that's the best thing. Not to take it, remember that this is about having fun with each, fun playing hockey. We all love it, and not going in there too tight and just going out there playing our game.
Yeah, I love being able to come down and take some pictures on the bench. The rest of the guys seem to have so much fun. Everybody's joking. There's no real tempers that you have to worry about. There's no divas that you really have to kind of pull back on. Everybody seems to want to have the little banter and joke around. So I really liked seeing that.
Absolutely, that was the big thing when Stroke had kind of put everyone together, was that you wanted to make sure the right guys are on the team, so that it's about having fun, and that's the best way to kind of like play as a team, is that everyone trusts each other, has a good time with each other. We know what we're there for, and everyone plays hard. That was the biggest thing, having guys that are going to bust their ass, and then guys that are also going to be having fun, joke around the locker rooms afterwards, things like that. So
yeah. So take me back to the beginning of the start of how you fell in love with the game of hockey.
So where I grew up in Elmhurst, there's a outdoor rink that's there that basically grew up, and I always wanted to actually play football. And my mom said football's too dangerous. You could do hockey, which in hindsight, it's kind of like that doesn't super track, but it was one of those things where just right away, me and my brother started playing. My brother was a goalie. I was a center, and just from that point on, just absolutely fell in love with it. It was great. A lot of good memories. Played traveled for a few years, got to high school, played high school for a little bit. So it was one of those things where just from the start, absolutely just couldn't get enough of it.
Okay. So now, where did you go to high school at?
So I went to high school at York Community High School. Actually, they made Illinois the finals this year. Unfortunately, lost to New Trier High School, which every year is basically the juggernaut of Illinois.
Yeah, I feel like I remember because my cousin lived in Chicago. I think I was a sophomore in high school doing a job shadow. So I took the train in from South Bend to Chicago to kind of stay with him for the weekend and job shadow him at his law firm. And I was big into hockey then, and I happened to just pick up a newspaper, and New Trier was in the championship finals for the last 8 years, I think, at that point.
Yeah, they run so deep. They have so many different teams. I mean, people in Illinois that played high school hockey, just the joke is just like, who's going to end up facing New Trier every year, because they roll so many teams.
Right.
They're so good. Their coaches are great. So York fought them hard this year, but unfortunately came up a little bit short.
Right. So now tell me a little bit about high school hockey in Illinois, because I'm sure some of us, each state's a little bit different. I know Minnesota has 2 divisions. Michigan has 3 divisions. So yeah, just give us a little insight on our neighboring states and how ice hockey in high school is kind of developed there.
So when I was in high school many moons ago, it was basically just we had the one division because it was still growing at that point, and I really credit I brought it with the Hawks, Blackhawks doing so well. Really kind of brought hockey as a big focus back, because when I was in high school, hockey wasn't as big. I mean, the joke was always like hockey, was gone for it never really left Chicago, but it was kind of dormant. It was a little asleep for a while. So I remember growing up, and not a lot of people I knew played hockey, and the York program really started getting good at my senior year. And unfortunately, I had left the high school program at that point to play with some friends over in a neighboring town, because I wanted to do other sports. But I had a lot of friends on the team, and that was when they really started getting good. And from then, you could see, as the years went on, hockey as itself got a lot more popular, especially by Chicagoland area. And since then, it's grown so much. And actually, the rink I started at, Elmhurst YMCA, has now often hosted a lot of high school hockey games and stuff. They get the kind of like the Winter Classic kind of feel where the kids get to go outside. The stands,
cool.
they're like the packed. You get a lot of parents out there and stuff. So it's interesting to see how much because Michigan and Minnesota. I mean, it's high school hockey is huge there. I mean, I love watching the Minnesota Files. They see all the kids come up with the crazy the crazy hair and stuff like that. Illinois didn't quite get that until that popularity again until probably just after I had left. So I'm glad it's back now though. It's really nice to see how much the game has grown around here, and a lot of kids. After I left, just seeing how much more popular it's gotten. I got friends, little brothers that love to play now, love watching. When we were growing up, I would beg people to come watch hockey with me or play hockey, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. So.
Yeah. So now, when did you transition from ice hockey to roller hockey?
So I transitioned after college. So in college, I went to Eastern Illinois, and I was going to play there. And unfortunately, I had a couple of real nagging injuries, and so I didn't end up joining the team. And so afterwards, I was looking for some ice teams to play. And the biggest issue was that the guys who play ice know that the time slots are always super late. It's either you can play weekends or you play during the week. You're played at 11 o'clock, 11:30 at night. Sometimes you gotta wait till after all the kids' teams are all done, stuff like that. So I had a couple of friends that were played roller, and had asked me if I wanted to come out. I had never really played roller before then, just kind of like rec hockey, stuff like that, just out in the summers. And joined up with them, and then I eventually met a lot of the past guys, and just from that point on, just really fell in love with it. It's so unique compared to there's a lot more up and down, fast paced. And the best thing for me is just the times are earlier, so I don't have can wake up and go to work. And that was my biggest thing, was I could play a couple leagues, have fun with the guys and stuff like that. And so that's really how I kind of started my transition from ice to roller.
Cool. So now, do you prefer roller over ice now, or do you still kind of like enjoy both equally?
I enjoy both because of how different they are. I mean, as growing up, I'm a bigger guy, so it was always nice to be able to use my body size just to be able to be a nuisance in front of the net, things like that. Winning board battles, stuff like that. And roller, it's not as much. Guys, aren't wearing the shoulder pads, things like that. So it's just a safety thing. But there's different aspects about roller that I really enjoy, like how with the 4-on-4 aspect, a little more wide open. A lot of puck movement, but there's different things about ice that I love. There's different things about roller that I love too.
Awesome, cool. So you and your guys are sitting at you had a 3-game winning streak right now. I don't know if you're aware of this, but for the season, you guys have played 15 games. You're second, actually, you're tied for second on the team with points at 24. You and Philip Godejan or Godejan? Yeah.
Godejan, yep.
Yeah. And then, but Ziegenhorn?
Yeah, John. Yep.
Yeah, John. He's got two more points than you.
Yeah. So we joke around, but I mean, it's funny because you look at our team and you see a lot of teams. You have a lot of top heavy scoring. The great thing about our team, why I think we're so such a problem for a lot of people, is that you look at our scores, everyone, the top 6, 7 scores are all within really, a couple points of each other. I think
you really are.
Welcher close. I mean, it's just every line out there, causes a problem. Everyone does something unique, and it's a problem for teams to match up because we run 5 forwards, we run 4 defensemen, so we kind of rotate who's playing with who, and whether I'm playing with one of our faster guys like Danny or Steve, or I'm, trying to help set up either John or Phil. It causes teams a lot of problems. And so I think that's what makes us so dangerous, is that we have so many solid players that are contributing, playing so well. So it's really been a joy to play with these guys this year.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that you don't have that one standout stud either. And everybody plays, together as a unit. You don't have, like I said, you don't have that one player that's trying to take over the game or trying to do too much. There's no selfish play from what I've seen this season. You know, maybe a little bit, but I think that was just based on frustration last season. But again, this season I haven't seen that. So I mean, it's pretty impressive to see how you guys are taking those changes and incorporating into your game.
Absolutely, and I think a big credit to that is just the guys playing and getting used to each other when we're not at tournaments. You know, knowing how to play with one another and knowing that our captain Mike Rubbs had said before the season that our goal is we want to win, we want to have fun, we want to win. Enough with like the stat sheet stuff because there's a lot of guys that will I want to get my stats and like that. The only one that we're really caring about right now is winning, and that's the thing. When we do that, we play better as a team. No one's selfish out there. Everyone's trying to help each other. We want to win, and I think that's led to a lot lighter atmosphere. Just not putting pressure on ourselves. I got to score. If I don't score, I'm having a bad game. Everyone's busting both ways, offense, defense. Great back checking, great forechecking, checking, talking on the bench, what's working, what's not working, and it's really come together this season.
Yeah, and of course you got Ryan Davey in net, and he's just 3 losses on the season, and an overtime loss. So I mean, you can't fault the goalie for keeping you in these games every weekend.
Davey's been unbelievable this year. He made a save this weekend that actually saved us from losing in the opening round of the playoffs. It was one of the best saves I've ever seen. Just wide open crosser that just sprawled out. Saved it when we went down about a minute later and potted one with about 2 seconds left. It was beautiful. And Davey's always calm and collected. He's if he lets it, but he'll think it's a soft goal. He doesn't get down on himself. He's always ready to go the next. We know that having Ryan in net is going to keep us in every game, but we want to make sure that we're helping him out.
Yeah, and all of your games have been pretty tight as far as like the games that you have lost. Within one goal. 1 to 2 goals. I don't think you had anybody that would come out and blow you guys out. I don't know. Have you guys played the Triple P yet?
So we haven't played them specifically, but we know a lot of the guys that are on that team and we play them differently. And that's a real solid team. They're really fast. They have a lot of good puck movement. But I think one of the things that's going to help us if we get to face them is that we are familiar with them. We have played them before. We know what to expect out of them with having that familiarity playing at Salt Creek against those guys. So I think when you come out and you go these trips and you're trying to figure out who you're playing, it could catch you by surprise. Like, who's this guy? We don't know how to defend him.
Right.
Playing against these guys, all throughout the year, it's going to help us out. We know what to expect. We know that we're going to have to match them for speed. We're going to have to make sure we minimize our turnovers and really capitalize on the chances that we have.
Yeah. So now you guys are sitting in 3rd place. You guys are done for like you said, done for the season until the playoffs. I think you're really not in any jeopardy of like losing that 3rd place spot. I think you guys pretty much got that all locked up.
Yeah, we took a look at it, and I don't think anyone can pass. I think there's only 4 teams going to Buffalo, and I think it's mostly to get into kind of the back end of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think it's like I'm not even sure if the Revolution are going. I can't even tell you off the top of my head.
I think we had looked. It was like Detroit Fuel was going. I think Grove City Thunderbirds were going.
Yep. Yeah, they're definitely going. And then I know the Buffalo Herd are going to be playing as well. That's another team that's only has 1 loss. 2 overtime losses of the 10 games that they've played. So they're a pretty dangerous team as well. Of the teams that you've played this year or this season, or the teams that you have been keeping an eye on, which team are you guys looking forward to either playing or you're kind of like want to pump the brakes on that you hope you don't have to run into them?
So really the 2 teams are the Triple P team. We want to make sure because, they've been in first all year. We want to challenge ourselves with the best. And then the team ahead of us, the Syndicate. That's it's kind of a rivalry that we have. A lot of the guys, and that's a team in the past we've kind of gotten close, but struggled to be consistent against. We've had a couple guys on the team that used to play for them, so we know that they got a little extra oomph in there.
Stroka came from that, right?
Stroka played on the T2 team.
And
John
so did Josh Sickman, too?
Sickman was on that team.
Yeah.
So we have a few guys here and there that have played for Syndicate. And again, it goes to us knowing a lot of the guys that we play, we've played against. But we have that kind of friendly rivalry that, hey, we like hanging out with you guys afterwards, having some beers and stuff afterwards, but we also want to beat you. So
right.
I think as the playoff format, at least it was last year, I think we'll get a shot at Syndicate first. I don't know if Carl, who runs the league, is changing anything. And then the Pigeons are another team that, we've had a big rivalry with over the past few years. A lot of good guys on that team, Balecki, Schmidt, Chef, a lot of those guys that we enjoy playing hockey with, stuff, but also when it comes down to playing in Mihal, we want to make sure we beat them. So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I enjoyed calling the Pigeons game a couple of times this past weekend. That's a team that kind of surprised me because on paper they don't look that good.
So I think they've had
play really well.
That's another team that they've had a couple injuries to some guys, and they've had they've had a couple bad luck losses. I know their goalie had an injury for a while. Because when we've played them, we've got the better of them this year for sure. But like I said, their goalie was a little banged up, and sometimes you have an off game. And I think they've just with the new guys they added, they were trying to gel a little bit, but they played really well this past weekend. Yeah,
I mean they're the only team to actually give Triple P 2 losses on the season. So, but the Triple P goalie was injured for majority of that championship game. I mean, he was like standing on one leg.
Yeah, Mark or the goalie, fantastic. He also is incredible defenseman. I've played against
phenomenal,
him.
Yeah.
Really solid player, and he's I know he's nursing an injury, so it'll be interesting to see what they do in a month from now. Hopefully, I'm hoping for him he's going to be healthy because I know I believe it was a hamstring injury. That's no fun. So great guy though. I hope he recovers in time because if we get PPP, we want to make sure that we're facing at their best because we want to beat the best.
Yeah. No, I'm actually going to reach out to Mark and see if I can't get him on the pod here pretty soon.
Absolutely.
But yeah. So you got the Triple P or Chicago PPP. I still don't know the name behind that, but I'm going to try to find out. I'm not sure if anybody really knows the meaning behind it.
Honestly, I have no idea. That no one's ever told me, and it's never even come up to in my mind to ask them about it. So your guess is as good as mine.
Right. So you got the Syndicate, the Knights, the Revolution, and the Pigeons. With the new additions that they added, and they put the whole division on notice, taking out Triple P this past weekend.
Absolutely.
Twice. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this all plays out here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, we're excited. We're counting down the days, Ben. So
yeah, cool. Well, now don't forget to also pay attention. I'm going to be dropping an episode as to when you guys are playing, who you guys are playing, and that'll actually pop up before you guys even see it on the website. So.
Perfect. I'll let the boys know. We're looking forward to it. So.
Yeah. So, So I just want to take a minute to thank you for stopping by. Appreciate it, and I wish you guys the best of luck come May 20th, and I'm going to be rooting for you guys.
I appreciate it, man. Let's go, Pats.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk at you later.
All right. Take it easy, Ben.
Yep. You too. Thanks for tuning into this episode of GCH Podcast with host Ben W. Stock, with special guest appearance from Matt Cahill of the Chicago Mary Pats.